TUFF SHIFT. Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of TUFF SHIFT, the podcast where we unpack all that goes into surviving the job and living the dream. I am your host, Sean Patrick Murtagh, and here we are. Yep. Here we are, another tough shift after a weekend of tough shifts. Today's guest was so gracious and letting me push back this interview an hour because I'm coming off a weekend of, babe, I needed that sleep. It has been, the tough shifts have been toughing or shifting or doing what they do. I recently started, my shifts have kind of changed up. And a few weeks ago, I talked about that one coworker who just isn't pulling his weight, just isn't getting it, and somehow is still getting shifts. And I taught, he had the talking to with management, and I, afterwards tried to like lift his spirits and kind of give him like my 2 cents. Like, here's what I do. Here's how I get by. And I'm the best fucking bartender on the team. So here's what I do. Because it was a struggle. It's a struggle adjusting to every bar, to every situation. Like, it's a new bar, it's a new space, new drinks. Things are in weird places, and there's so much setup. So I gave him my 2 cents on like how I get by, my formula as I explained it. And then he went off on his merry little way. He seemed to take it well. He seemed to take it very well. And I thought I had made a change in somebody. I thought that I had contributed into maybe this guy turning it around and being a better bartender, being a better teammate, being a better coworker. And he had 4 days off because, his schedule indicates his value. He had 4 days off in a row and came back that following Sunday. And I thought, all right, here we go. We're going to see how he does today. And, he brings it up right away. He's like, I've been thinking a lot about what our manager said to him. And I was like, good. You should have been thinking about this and your 4 days off. And he goes, and it's really unfair. It's really unfair the way that, he spoke to me and the things he was saying, because I feel like he has like an older version of me in his head. He's holding me accountable for how I was when I first started here, and I was slow, but we got better. We all got better, and I've improved. I've da 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 da, and he's just kept like defending himself. He like had 4 days to reflect, and instead he rewrote the narrative on everything that the manager had said to him and all the points that I said about how he could rise to the occasion. He had recreated the narrative in his favor, how he's already like he's up to par with me, like he's my equal. I know that sounds really awful, but he's definitely not my equal. He definitely is sinking this ship actively in doing so little, in doing as least possible. He is sinking the ship. He's basically taking money out of my pocket, out of my coworkers' pockets, and he's defended himself. He's made himself the victim, and it's just that nobody else sees his value. And he brought in this book about bartending, and then he's like starting to like talk to me, like proselytize this bartending Bible book he has about prioritizing how to make drinks, how to do this, how to do that. And it's basically like before, the Dummies Guide or Windows for Dummies or insert whatever for Dummies books about pretty much how to do anything simplified. That's basically what this book is. It literally tells you what a juice is, what a syrup is, what a spirit is, what drinks to shake, what drinks to stir. And it's like, this is so basic. And he was like trying to tell me, like, as if I didn't know how to, like, if you get a ticket with 6 drinks, like, and you have 2 that are built in the glass and you have 1 that's stirred and these are shaken and you got beers and you got wines, like the order of importance. And I was like, are you? And I looked at my other coworker who's like listening to him try and like educate me. And I'm like, are you actually talking to me right now? Are you telling me how to bartend? And he's just singing the praises of this book. And it's just kind of embarrassing when someone is so, doesn't have self-awareness. doesn't know who they are and how they are. Like me, if it's in a show, if it's at work, if I'm not the strongest fucking link, one, I'm working my ass off. If I'm the weak link in a show, if I am the weak link on a team anywhere, what I'm doing is trying not to be noticed. I'm trying to, like, on my own, how do I get up to speed? How do I boom boom? I need to not be noticed, not make problems for other people. And when you are that way, you have to remember that not everyone is the same. People will rewrite their stories and do what they need to do to get by. It's a survival mechanism. And so he's thinking that he is one of the star bartenders who's just being attacked unfairly, who's just being criticized unfairly. And he's just going on and on about this book on bartending, and it just hit me. Like, you're singing the praises of this book, and you're talking about all the things you've learned, and yet you're still as awful as you are. Like, you're still so bad, but you're talking up a big game. I would be embarrassed. And I know none of this is sounding nice. It's not nice, anything that I'm saying about this person, but it's sincere. All right. Sometimes you need to not have the kid gloves on for everyone, because when you keep the kid gloves on with people, they get used to it. They get a little bold. Use it when it's needed. Like, hey, I'm going to just kind of talk at you, talk with you, at your level. I'm going to give you need to hear, because sometimes you don't need the notes. Sometimes you don't need the corrections. Sometimes you don't need the tough love. You just need to be listened to. You just need to be acknowledged for where you're at. And there's times and places to do that. And then there's times that you just got to be honest. You got to be honest with people. Like, you suck. You're an awful bartender. I obviously don't say it like that. I just am the bartender I am, and let him see. And hopefully, because I'm not a manager, it's not my job to tell him he sucks. That's the manager's job. And they do tell him he sucks in the shifts they give him, or little shifts they give him, in talking to him, in all the things that he's not getting it. So that's when the kid gloves come off. All right. And I think in moments like that, you need to be uh, less delicate and more like a stove. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? How to be like a stove? A hot stove doesn't care if you're unaware, doesn't care if you're not paying attention, doesn't care that you will get burned. All right? So if you come to put your hand on a hot stove, sometimes you just got to let that kid touch it. You've warned them. You let them know. You let them know what's going to happen. Sometimes you just got to be a hot stove and let people burn themselves. It's sometimes the only way that's going to get the lesson learned. And this guy is just, through talking, he's not learning. He's not. So it's just like, you're on your own, buddy. This is why I say, I don't need to be a snitch. I don't need to be saying, he's not doing this and blah, 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 blah. Like, people telling themselves. The proof is in the pudding. People watch. So it takes a lot longer for management to catch on. They're catching on. They're watching him, and they're seeing, like, I'm running circles around him. He gets these closing shifts, which is really really fucking annoying that he gets these closing shifts, because he's so bad at closing that he's ends up being there longer than he needs to be, which means he's in the pool, the tip pool, longer than anybody. And so he's doing such a bad job that he's making more money. And it's like stressing the managers out, because they're like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. We closed, the kitchen closed at 10:30. We stopped serving alcohol at 11:30. Why are we getting out of here at 1 a.m.? Because he doesn't know how to proactively close. He doesn't know what to do. And so I get stuck 2 weekends in a row working with this jackass. And I'm like, I don't want to be here. I got shit to do, and I got sides to learn. I got auditions to get ready for. I can't be here till 2 o'clock in the morning and all tense and tight, and then sing High Seas the next day. I gotta go home. I gotta take some ibuprofen. I gotta rest. I gotta sing. I gotta do what I need to do. I don't need to be wasting my time here with you. So I'm getting it done. Like around 9 o'clock, I start breaking stuff down. I start cleaning up. Boom, and I'm going straight through. And I'm like, you focus on the bar top. I'm going to break down this bar. And so that way, when we're closed, It's just minor things that we're doing. So cut to 2 seconds after I tell him, I'm going to focus on closing. You deal with a guest. A guest walks in and sits in front of me. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to just ignore you because this guy sees. And he just like looks at me, looks at the guest, looks at me, and is like, are you going to say hi? Are you going to serve that guest? And it's like, he just doesn't get like, no, I need to focus on what I'm doing and you need to jump on this. So it's like, hey, buddy, get over here and serve this guest. Like he has to be told what to do every step of the way. And I'm busting my ass. I'm cleaning things up. I'm refilling bottles. I'm wiping things down. I'm going upstairs and bringing cases of wine to restock. I'm bringing blends down to restock. I'm doing it all for like 2 straight hours while we're kind of getting down. Proud of myself because we got out. Uh, I got the first Saturday I closed with him. We were out at 12:30. We could have been out at midnight, but he sucks. And then this past weekend, 11:57, the manager could not believe that he was going to be able to go home that early because this guy, I saw the Friday night he closed. His clock in was open when I came in the next day. He left at 1:45. I'm like, what are you not doing that takes you so long and you're just taking our money? Anyways, I'm doing a lion's share of the work and I'm sweeping. And this guy, just like polishing one glass at a time, is like, you missed a spot. You fucking asshole. Oh my God, are you kidding? And then we get to the last thing that we have to do is mop. And he's like, okay, so why don't you go ahead and mop and I'll check off the to-do list. Because that seems fair, right? So I'm like, I'm just trying to go home. I'm not trying to fight. So I quickly mop, clock out, and leave. I'm not waiting for him to like think like, hey, we did it, because we didn't do it. I did it. Then this last weekend, which again, record-breaking closing time by yours truly, we get to the end. And I'm like, I'm not going to teach him a lesson about like, you didn't do shit. The least you could do was mop. I literally picked up the dirty, heavy mats, cleaned them, and hung them outside to dry. Took out the garbage, took out the recycling, did it all, baby. So I'm not going to be like, doesn't it seem fair that you should do something? But I just said, hey, this week, as if we'll keep it fair that way. Like I did it last week, you do it this week, as if we did the same amount of work. I said, this week, you're mopping the floor. And tell me why this guy, who thinks he's on the same level, who can rewrite anything to be like, yeah, we did this together, looks at me accusatory, like, well, is that the only thing left to do? As if I would have left him with more tasks to do. If I would have tried to screw it, like, you've literally been screwing me over for 6 hours behind this bar, and you're that lazy and incompetent and that unaware that you can't mop. It takes 30 seconds to mop this bar. You can't do one small task, baby. Again, you're telling on yourself. Management's watching. It's a time bomb. I wish the best for you. And I hope that this story, if you're this person at work, just know you're being watched. If you're this person at work, just know nobody likes to see you coming. If you're not this person at work, if you're the me at work, just know I see you. All right? And every story comes to an end, and everything finishes up. So just be patient. Don't worry about what they're not doing. Just stay focused on what you're doing, and the rewards will come later. The rewards will come later, and their payout will be their payout, and what they get will be what they get. All right, people? So stay strong. Again, second week in a row. This is not what I had planned to talk about for my opener, but this is my free therapy. So thank you for listening. Let's stop about this tough shift and get to our guest, who has a few tough shifts, I'm sure, to share with us. She is a stunning soprano. I'm going to just read actually what her reviews say. That's exactly what it says. She's a stunning coloratura soprano with a great sense of comic timing. She is exactly that. Her voice is glorious. She's one of those people that I'm really annoyed came at the end of my New York journey. So I did not get to experience her enough, but I'm glad that I got to experience her at all. And I'm glad that I get to continue experiencing her through social media and through all the amazing things she does. Her talent, like she's the type of person that, that age old question, does anyone still wear a hat? She does. She wears a lot of them. Not only is she a stunning singer, a hilarious cabaret performer, she is a pianist, a music director. She hosts open mics. She works piano bars. She is a consultant for many artists in the Rhode Island, Boston, Provincetown, New York area, helping people. She's a teacher. She's helping people bring their stories to life, get their voices out there. A phenomenal human being who has done quite a bit on many stages, both in opera and in musical theater, which, if you know anything about either art form, eh, some people in the classical world are assholes. Some people in the musical theater world are assholes, and they're like purists. Like, you can't do both. You can't do this. You can't do that. Not only has she done it, but she has done like iconic roles. She has thrived on both stages. She's done Deflator Mouse. She's sang the Messiah. She's done Mama Rose. She's been in Bridges of Madison County. She's done all these like highly sought after soprano roles and concerts and arias, and done them so well to be like, well, why isn't there more crossover? Why aren't there more people like the one and only? Oh, before I bring her on, and she has a show coming to San Francisco on September 27th, 7 p.m. at My Love Martuni's. This is where my whole journey in cabaret started. I love that place more than I can mention. If you're in San Francisco, September 27th, her show, KAHN Artist, Madeline and Me, a celebration, a tribute to the one and only iconic Madeline Kahn. She's also bringing it back to Rhode Island on October 18th, New York, Saturday, December 13th, as part of the Urban Stages Winter Rhythms. Why aren't there more people like Eden Casteel? Hello there.
Hello, Sean. I enjoyed hearing your story about the world's worst, coworker.
I mean, it doesn't. It happens in rehearsals. It happens and it's like these people that like. Now it's my job to like not only pick up your slack but make you feel better about yourself. I actually did a show with our mutual friend Marty Millett. We've done quite a few shows together, and there was one person who just. Well, there seems like every time we do a show, there's always one person who but there was one person who just like was not learning his part, and then was like, you need to teach me this harmony. And I'm like, well, first of all, that's not my harmony.
Yeah, I'm looking at my watch. Do I look like I have time for this? No.
And like, I'm not the music. Go talk to the music director. Like, I've done my work, and I'm bartending, changing diapers, catering, releasing an album, like all these things. And I have to teach you. Want me to pluck out your part, baby? First of all, have you seen me play piano? Like, you don't want me plugging. I can hit the notes, but they won't be in time. But you've had that experience, I'm sure, in the many areas you've worked in your life.
True. I started getting asked to play out people's parts when I was 12, 13 years old, and I was the piano player for a choir when I was 9. So because it made the choir teacher's job easier.
Oh,
and
100%.
I could play better than she could. So,
and then when you get roped into like leading the cast in vocal warm-ups, and you're like, but me?
And
like,
they call, me? Yeah. And I got called pitch bitch in high school. And it could have been called it yesterday for all I know, but probably.
That's hilarious.
Because I knew the orchestra wasn't in tune, and I dared to tell them. But I've gotten more diplomatic as I've gotten older. But like you, it's like, I know what needs to be done. I can see the steps clearly, and I can tell you, but if you don't pick it up the first 10 times I tell you, I get a little tired.
I mean, that's the thing, is like, I don't mind. I actually love educating people and teaching them. I really am passionate about bartending. I think it's amazing. And once you learn this is like when he was, explaining that book to me, and I'm like, why are you telling me of all people this? I really enjoy it. But like, when you can't, like, when I say you put in 3/4 this, 1 ounce this, 2 ounce that, shake and serve, and you're coming back to me half hour later. Like, this actually happened. I was actually thinking about this morning. I went out for drinks with a coworker when I first got to LA.
Mhm.
We went to a dive bar, and I ordered a Manhattan, and the bartender had to go ask the other bartender how to make a Manhattan. I'm like, it's a dive bar. I'm being an asshole ordering a Manhattan. Anything in a martini glass at a dive bar, I'm the asshole.
Mm.
And so the bartender's like, it's 2 ounces bourbon, 1 ounce sweet vermouth, 2 dashes bitters.
Mm.
World's easiest recipe. And then I ordered 45 minutes later a second Manhattan. And this man had to go back and ask the bartender how to make it.
You know what? Next time you get that coworker who wants to pull out the book to figure it out, say, "Here's a copy of The Joy of Sex."
Okay, not knowing this guy, you have no idea, like, just how spot on that probably is. Like, he
I
just
think you could use it, right? Yeah.
he does have his, you know, he is passionate about it as well, and he's kind of a nerd about spirits. He can literally tell you, if you name a spirit, he'll tell you what it's distilled from. He'll tell you what family of distributors it's in, all these things, but none of that is functional to getting the job done. That's cool for
Yeah.
when a customer comes in and is like, so tell me about the whiskey on the bar, which I'm like, listen, I don't know about the whiskey on the bar. Like, it's, what do you want? Like, nobody wants this conversation. And when you're asking that, you're trying to, like, flex, but you're not showing anything because, like, you don't know either. So why are we having this conversation? Just tell me what you want and move on.
You
Speaking
cannot
of
have
moving on.
siloed knowledge like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't silo
exactly.
your knowledge like that.
Speaking of moving on, let's get to you, right? This is not about, like, don't let the tenor, all right?
I'm a soprano. We could really one up each other for quite a long time, but
Let's
it's
do
okay.
it. So I want to know. I tell you, the first two questions, when we eventually get to them, are always the same. It is, and the first one is, what was your gateway job into being a singing stereotype of an artist surviving in hospitality?
Well, when I first heard your podcast, I heard the first few episodes, and I was so glad that you started it. And it made me think about my first and only serving job when
You
I was 16
lucky.
years old. Yeah. And it was at Elby's restaurant in Dublin, Ohio. And my family had gone there after church on most Sundays, for brunch or something after church. And I thought it seemed so glamorous. And I was not even in high school yet when I think we were first started going there. And so all the cool high school girls were waitresses at Elby's.
Yeah.
And it was just a family restaurant with a salad bar. But I loved their they all wore hair in a buns, and they all had the white nurses shoes with a lot of padding and the cute little apron. And it just seemed really sophisticated. And then a girl I really admired in high school was a waitress at LB, and I kind of, single white femaled her a little. So I thought, well, I'll get a job at LB's when I'm 16. So that's the first legal job I could get when I could drive. Was I applied at LB's and I got in, and imagine that. And I did my 4 hours of training at another LB's because it was a small chain, and figured out how to hold on to the tray, and how to sterilize things, how to make ice cream sundae, how to do those major things. And then they started putting me on shifts. So I would do Sunday brunch, which I really liked because I wanted to show off for all of my friends from church. And then maybe a couple of weeknights. But I realized within a couple of weeks, this was not a good fit for me.
Yeah.
And I was the youngest by 10 years at that point. And everybody else was clearly on a downward trajectory, unfortunately. It was not a good career.
It's not, and goddamn those people for glamorizing it and making it look so easy. Because growing up, we had a place, Millbrae Pancake House, and that was a place. It's still open. It's still amazing. But the ladies who worked there when I was growing up, I mean, they knew me from birth until they eventually retired, and some of them have since passed. But every time came back from college, I was welcomed with hugs by them, and they just made it look so glamorous, and like they loved what they were doing. When we would get our hot chocolates, they would just make sure to pile up that whipped cream, and it just looked so fun. And then also the show, I actually, it's available on Amazon. I found it and I am going back to do a rewatch. But do you remember the show It's a Living?
Yes. And they all
Oh,
sang. So I
oh,
thought that too,
right?
right? But
You have Aunt
cocktails
Jillian,
versus
all
full food, yeah. Mhm.
exactly. And it's just like
Yeah.
they gossiped around the salad bar in the
Mhm.
kitchen. It was
And there was
just
a piano player doing piano bar,
Yeah, the
right?
Sunny who's just like that. When I was in college and I was like, I had like a breakdown after the first term. When I went to college, I was like, this is amazing. I did not have that freshman depression
Oh,
until
good.
I went home for Christmas and came back and was like, oh, I'm on my way to being an adult now. Like because I entered college at 17. I was like, oh, I'm actually an adult now. And like everything I knew is changing. And so I had this like weird thing. And I was like, what do I want to do this? And I remember I was talking to my parents. They dropped me off at my dorm. And then I was like, come pick me up. I just need to stay in the hotel with you guys tonight. Like I'm just having this meltdown. And I was talking about, I don't know if I want to be an actor. I just want to sing. I just put me in a lounge, da da da. My mom had a meltdown over the fact
Oh.
that like we're not paying for college for you to be a lounge singer. And the person she had in her head was the guy. There's the sleazy piano player like singing schmaltzy and It's a Living. And funny enough, I was like, Mom, that's not what I'm gonna be. And then, fast forward to 2 Mac Awards later, that's exactly what.
Yeah, that's what I should have been. I should have been the schmaltzy piano player in Elby's. I should have said, put a piano in the corner. That would
Exactly.
have done better.
I'll be fine. But
Oh.
it's so funny because you were like, I'm not sure if it counts because I only worked, a small amount of time, and I told you, any time served is time served, and I'm sure you had a lifetime of experiences in and memories in that relatively short time. So, is
I
there
did.
a tough shift that stands out amongst all the others where you're just like, ooh, ooh, this is not it. Something that just lives rent free in your head.
It was probably the final shift that made me realize I had made the right decision to turn in my notice. So I lasted 4 months from probably like Christmas time through March or April. And I came in for the final shift. By that time, they had restricted me just to Sunday nights. So clearly, just like your friend who's getting all the weird shifts, I was so good at it that they were restricting me to Sunday night clothes. And they would take me off the floor like 2 hours early so I could bleach all the trays. Further evidence of just how important I was. And so I clocked in that night, and the manager was a new manager or whatever. And he saw that it was my last day or something. He just said, well, what's the matter? Won't your husband let you work? I was 16 years old,
Oh,
but that just kind of crystallized it for me.
like
I, yeah.
Ohio. Wow.
Ohio, right? Yeah. And actually, the reason I gave for quitting is that I was the lead in the musical, and I had to make all that time free for rehearsals. Of course, we didn't rehearse Sunday night 6 to close, but they didn't know that. So
Nobody
I
has to
was,
know.
yeah, nobody has to know. The good thing about that job, the fun things were, yes, meeting a few of the regulars, and one sweet gentleman who ordered liver and onions every shift I was on, and always gave a tip of 1/4 exactly. And no matter how much you sweet talked him or didn't, it was just 1/4, and everybody treated him really well. The bitchy women who came in and complained about everything, that was fun. So I learned a lot about human behavior. And when I got done with my shifts, it would be like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night when I could finally clock out. And I would drive home and I would turn on a radio station in Columbus and I would listen to this really cool music on the way home. And I would keep listening to it. And I'd get home and I'd go into my room and turn on the same station. I would self tan, with this tanning lamp. It's a wonder I'm not dead. And just keep listening to it. And I discovered this love for this channel and all of this music. And it was like a show of like new age music that was coming out at that time. And it was based in Sausalito, California. It still exists. It's
Oh
called
wow.
Music from the Hearts of Space. And it's just an hour of like new age music. But I thought it was so cool. And I just have this wonderful sense memory of driving home in my waitress uniform, showering off the grease smell, tanning, and listening to this show on the radio station. So I loved that part of it. And I never would have listened to it if I hadn't been driving home on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
So
No,
there's like upside.
good for you for getting out early. I've been 20 years. 20 years I've been trying to get out of this gig. But what is it that stayed with you that kind of shapes how you behave in restaurants, and how you what are some things you observed that you're like, oh, I'm not going to be that, and I'm going to be this. What are some things you do in a restaurant to make people's tough shifts a little lighter?
I try to be very clear about I want and what I'm asking for. I smile whenever I can, and I say thank you. I say please. I try to show appreciation. I think anybody who's ever served, right, you tip better as a result for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
and you're nicer. And now I'm in a part of my career where I interact with service professionals all the time. I'm hospitality adjacent in the entertainment industry. And so I feel like I understand their jobs a little better since I did
Yeah.
that myself. And I try to consider them partners. And I hope they consider me a partner as well.
Yeah,
We're
I
all
mean,
in it together.
you very much still work in hospitality. We in Marty's episode, she was kind of the first one that we unpacked this with, is like, you do this job, you get out of it, and then you end up right back in it. And we've had many other guests who aren't working in hospitality, slinging drinks and and serving hash, but they're in piano bars. They're singing for drunk customers and all
Mhm.
this. So you are very much still a part of hospitality. You just get to sit. Like,
Right, right. I sell the
and
liquor too. It's important.
exactly. And what are some do's and don'ts based on your experience working in piano bars with people, requesting Billy Joel, or trying to get on the piano with you? What are some do's and don'ts that you have, that if somebody is listening to this and they're on their way to piano bar, here's what you do and here's what you don't do?
Have a standard repertoire, like a bass repertoire that you can play really well. Unlike, in food service or drink service, you can't ever say you're sold out of something if you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I wish I could say sometimes I'm sold out of Piano Man, but it's always there. It's always there. Shallow is always there.
Oh God,
But
yeah.
you find something fresh in it, and you realize that it's not about you, it's about them. And it's
Exactly.
about making the experience good for them. And it doesn't matter whether they're 50th person, or the first, you have to treat them the same way, and treat them the way you would want to be treated. So I see that as a performer in piano bar. I also see it when I host open mics. I hosted open mic at a bar in Rhode Island for off and on for a while until the bar closed. It's about to reopen and everything. And I had never seen that many guitar bros, come to the stage. Um, I thought I was hosting like a piano open mic where there would be singers coming up, more like what you would see in New York, right?
Yeah.
But out here, it's much more guitar singer songwriter type. And you take whatever they give you. You welcome everybody to the stage. You try to make them feel comfortable. You try to support them. But I had some performers who would just kind of give me a hand, like, don't do anything, just leave me alone. Let me be up here and sing. And when that happens, you have to respect that. But yet you're still trying also to serve them, even
Yeah.
if by serving them, it's leaving them alone. Even if by serving them and leaving them alone, they're doing terrible things to the art and it's not going to sound very good. And you have to decide, do I let them hang themselves? And does that make my evening go bad? Does that, chill out the room and not in a good way? Or do I have to kind of take over and really save them from themselves,
Yeah.
support them by starting to play, or I start to sing, or I harmonize, or cut them off? Right. So
Yeah.
in that way, I feel like it is still very much kind of a hospitality thing. How do I take care of them so that way the whole room is taken care of in addition to me and them?
Yeah, it's exactly like what I was talking about earlier about, like, do I put the kid gloves on or am I a stove today? Do I
Mm-hmm.
let them get burned? And, whether it's cutting them off from, singing or whatever, or cutting them off from drinking, it's never fun. It's always awkward. And it's one of those things which is like, you got to embrace the awkward. There's no way around it. So just pull the Band-Aid off. But, there's a few things that I just want listeners to get. If you're going to a bar and you see Eden playing and you want her to sing a song, you want her to play a song, you want Piano Man, $20.
Yeah.
$20 tip. You that's what you get. I know drag queens who would charge, who Suttonley Seymour used to do Porn Fortunate Souls, and just like so much, and she just kind of got tired of it. She was so good at it, but she would say, I'm not doing that for anything less than $100. And every now and then there'd be like a wasteful gay in the audience who would give her $100. It's like you don't know until you ask, right? But
Right.
ultimately, like if you're requesting a song, you're like, why haven't you played my song yet? Why? The same thing with bartending. If you want my attention, but you gave me a shitty tip last time, guess what? You're at the end of the line. So if you want Eden to play a specific song, if she does play the song for you, you got to tip. You got to tip your piano bar pianist. You got to tip the musicians. You just got to do it. It's part of the relationship. It's part of building that. And if you're a performer, don't be an
You,
asshole.
don't be an
Don't
asshole.
be an asshole. Like don't put your hand in people's face. Don't
Right.
like it's part of building community and like just let's can't we all just get along? Like can't we just make it
Yeah.
work?
If you're coming to the stage, know why you're there, right? Like I know exactly why I'm up there and what
Exactly.
I want to have happen, and I send out an intention, before I get up there even. But I see a lot of, and I call them guitar bros because unfortunately they do tend to be the men with the guitars who come up and then they sit there, they close their eyes, they strum badly, and then they sit down, whether it's a cover or an original. I call it musical masturbation,
Yeah.
and it's about that fun, right? Just, go ahead, just start your OnlyFans slash YouTube, Twitch channel, whatever, but get off my freaking stage. Or I'm going to start playing and you're going to have to put up with me because I'm not going to let the rest of the room suffer while you do that.
Yeah, you don't walk. I believe the comedians call it walking people when people
Yeah.
leave because you're just that bad. Now, from your, I'm going to get to your performance career because again, you wear so many hats and you wear them so well. But I want to go back a few years to when you were on. I went on a YouTube binge last night when I got home from work. I heard you singing Deflator Mouse. I heard you singing everything. Hey there, just checking in. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. And if you are, why not leave us a 5-star review and a comment or two wherever you're listening to this from? And don't forget to follow us on social media at TUFF SHIFT Podcast. That's TUFF Shift Podcast. Everywhere, literally everywhere. And just a reminder, gratuities not included, but tips are always welcome. And you can find our virtual tip jar at tuffshiftpodcast.com. That's TUFF Shift Podcast.com. All right, back to the show. Now, that the classical world can be full of people who tell you you have to do X, Y, and Z, and if you do this, that means you can't do that, and da 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 da. And there's very little room for interpretation. And even still, in musical theater, they'll put an alto in a soprano role, like a recent revival did. There's a little more wiggle room, but it still is very formulaic and very rigid. So, how did you ignore all those voices and be like, screw you, I can sing Rosalinda and I can, sing Mama Rose? Like, how do you navigate that and get the confidence to be like, I don't actually need to listen to you? Because it takes, for a lot of us, it takes years before it's like, oh, that's not a rule. That's an opinion made to seem like law.
A lot of it happened when I was older, not when I was in my 20s or 30s. Back then, I was very, very eager to please. A lot of those roles didn't happen in major places. So
Hmm.
it happened in theaters where they were willing to take more of a risk. And I was willing to collaborate with them to make sure that it turned out to everybody's satisfaction, which was great. So, yeah, I had a conductor who wanted to do a different version of the Messiah. And he said, Eden, I want you to sing most of the tenor arias. And I'll have somebody else sing some of the soprano arias. Are you up for that? Absolutely. I've wanted to
Yeah.
sing, Comfort Ye My People for years. I would love to do that. And I'm so glad I got a video of it because he wasn't going to record it. So I was the one who pulled out my recorder and stuck it in the back of the room. And now I have a document of it. I'm so glad I do. It got me other work. And doing Mama Rose, it was at a local theater where I had done Sweeney Todd. I had no
Hmm.
idea how I got cast as Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd. I thought I was going to get the beggar woman, but they gave me that and I loved it. And I was with another opera singer and we had a fabulous time doing the show. So when we were looking for another show to do, I made him a list and I put a bunch of soprano, shows on it. I said, but also I said, your theater's small enough and I wouldn't have to kill myself that you might consider these as well. And he started circling around Gypsy. So I thought, well, that's not going to happen. And then I listened to Betty Buckley sing it, and I realized, oh, I could probably pull that off,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't be terrible. Now, I didn't get the best reviews for that. I got a lot better reviews for doing Mrs. Levitt than I did Mama Rose. I had a wonderful time playing her. It was actually a really tough production. I got laryngitis 3 weeks before we opened. So I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to sing her at all. But I loved kind of diving into her. And as you heard, I am playing piano because I have my piano also routed into our call because I do live streaming and a lot of stuff online as well. So I did it all in the same keys as her, da, 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 like that, which was really, really fun. I didn't really have to change much of anything, which was really a good thing. I was so grateful for that. And I
That's
played piano as Mama Rose on stage. So my Mama Rose was such a megalomaniac that she kicked the accompanist off stage and played.
how do you not get a good review for that? That's
I kind of
amazing.
wondered too, frankly. I thought that was pretty ballsy. But the girl who played my daughter, she got nominated for a couple of local awards, and I got shut out. And so, yeah. But I'm still glad I played her. Very glad I played her.
Oh yeah, I bet. And
So,
are
so when
there any
Audra did it, I thought, good for you, girl. I understand completely. Yeah.
exactly? Well, the thing was when they announced her, and everyone's like, "How's she gonna do it? She's a soprano." I'm like, uh, she's also amazing, and you can like she can sing it however she wants. Like, there's a lot of dramatic arias out there. So like I'm not upset if Mama Rose doesn't belt. I'm like having a meltdown is having a meltdown in any freaking key. And when I saw her Tony performance, and I don't know why people felt that they need to reach out to me, but like they wanted my opinion before they made an opinion.
Hmm.
And I thought
Oh, you're Sean,
that
that's why.
I was like, they're like, what did you think about that? What did you think about her voice? And I was like, I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was technically on point. And it's the ninth time she did it that week. So there's that.
Yeah.
And the rawness of her voice, she's doing everything right and just letting the voice do what it's going to do. So when it sounded a little more raw, it was still healthy, and it was still just like I'm going to get myself set up, and the voice is going to do, which is so hard for singers to get out of our own way and let the voice. And it it lended to what was happening on stage. So the struggle was there and everything. And she wasn't actually struggling. She was doing everything right. And I thought it was phenomenal. But people are a little more simple minded, and they just couldn't handle not hearing it.
The
It's
big
like
belt.
it's just like however it happens when it's good. I mentioned there's other things where people are miscast and putting an alto in an iconic soprano role, and then having one of my favorite songs ever just like not as what it should be.
Are we
Like
talking about
it's
Sutton doing Music Man? Is that
I
what we're
am
talking about? Okay,
I
I figured.
am
Yeah,
yeah.
I played her too. I played Marion as well and felt a real affinity for Shirley and Barbara Cook. And yeah, when I heard Sutton was doing that, I thought, oh, I don't know. I mean, I believe in, lots of non-traditional casting, but I don't know about that one.
Yeah, and I
But I'm sure she
listen.
acted the hell out of it.
She is a phenomenal talent. Like people don't. There's not many people like her who that she's a hoofer. She can sing. She's got a great instrument, and she can act the hell out of things, and she's funny. But it was just like not for me. Not it. Just not
Mhm.
it. But we're not. We don't need to talk about that. I want to talk about what are some roles like. Are you still kind of? Do you have a foot in the pool for performing as far as like theater, or you've done that and now we're moving on to the next chapter?
I'm kind of moving on to the next chapter. I haven't seen anything that has really interested me, and God bless my friends who are still out there auditioning and performing. I just got to a point where it was so not fun, and
Yeah,
the roles to audition for just did not seem worth the effort. So clear the field, and that's also kind of when I discovered cabaret. Thank God, right? And I'm not the only one who discovered cabaret that way. But that gave me the freedom and the flexibility that I have been looking for on stage for a long time.
yeah. It truly is like when I found my way to cabaret. I started years before I brought a show to New York, in San Francisco. I doing my Christmas show, and it was just an excuse to like get out of working in restaurants. Because when you book a show in New York City, you just leave, and it's like it doesn't matter that it's Christmas. There's you just leave, and it's understood, it's agreed upon. So I made up a show to get me out of waiting tables at Christmas.
Well done.
But then when I found cabaret for myself in New York, it was like, I can't wait for Chelsea to call. I can't wait for Mary Sugar. So like I put a show together, and I put the songs together and the stories that I wanted to tell, and I had the audiences, and I didn't have to wait for someone to give me an opportunity to stand on stage. I got to do exactly what I wanted to do, and people apparently loved it, and it's I think it's made me after that a better auditioner
Yeah.
and a better cast member, because I now know what I bring to the table. And I know I'm a little more comfortable on stage, and a little more comfortable building out characters with that. And one thing we have in common is we have built a show and created, some attention around ourselves, for paying tribute to our heroes. Mine, of course, is Mario Lanza. And would you like to share who your show is paying tribute to?
Madeline Kahn, the one, the
Hmm.
only.
Which, I mean, the
It's
gays love her just because of the flames down the side of my
flames,
face.
flames on the side of my face, breaking breath, heaving breath. 7 always has been my lucky number, right? Is that a 10-gallon hat, or are you happy to see me, Shotzi? Right? All of them, all of them. Yeah,
How did you find Madeline? How did Madeline find you?
I saw her the same year that I was a waitress. I was 16 years old. She did a commercial for Michelob Light, and I saw it on TV, and I can do the commercial entirely. So it's Madeline Kahn from Michelob Light. She says, "What is this fascination we have with having it all? Haven't you ever wanted to have it all, just a tiny bit? Michelob Light has it all. Superb taste and a less filling beer. But is having it all the answer? Is it really so wonderful to be wealthy, glamorous, and have an unbelievable singing voice? Yes! Michelob Light, you can have it all." Ta-da! Right?
I,
That did it. It was seeing her be sexy and funny and sing high notes in 30 seconds.
yeah,
I thought, I want that. I want to do that. So I went off to opera school where they wouldn't let me do that. And then I started auditioning, and I did a little bit of Gilbert and Sullivan where I got a little closer, and then did a little bit of, Strauss, and I got a little closer, which was good. But it wasn't until I actually took a cabaret class online during the pandemic and met my director, Faith Prince, that I realized there was something to this secret love I'd had for Madeline all along.
that's wonderful.
It was actually, yeah,
You did
a
exactly what
blueprint.
you needed to do. Was you built the chops. You went through that rigid classical training to then be
Mhm.
able to throw it all away. Not throw it all away, but like to trust it and be like, now that I have this, I can do all these things, and I know how to survive and how to get it. And like that was, I mean, the gift of Madeline Kahn was one, even just you doing that little spot, like she's just, it's, you think she's just talking normal, and then it's like, but where's she gonna go? Like, where is she gonna go and do it all so well? And you have this soprano who just, I mean, she sang opera. She
She did.
sang full on opera, and also had this comedic side, and so it makes total sense that she would speak to you, and what I've said about all the talents you possess and all the gifts you have, to be like, of course you're paying tribute to Madeline Kahn. And for everyone listening to this little bit, I'm upset that I'm not going to be in San Francisco for this show, and I think you should. So, how did you come about putting this show together? Because paying tribute to people is a little trickier than you think. It's not just standing on stage. Like everyone can do a Frank Sinatra tribute, and everyone does. But like paying tribute to an artist, it is. I'm going to just air this out here because
Go ahead.
I don't need to get any reviews from this publication, but I got a lot of shade from not Broadway World itself, but a very specific person at Broadway World, because I came back with Mario Lanza. I did my original Mario show,
Hmm.
then the world shut down, and then I did over a dozen, like 15 online cabarets, different shows every other week during the pandemic, every
Hmm.
15 different shows. And then we were still kind of in lockdown. It was 2021, which was the Mario Lanza centennial. And I got back. I was like, well, I got to pay tribute to this guy. So I did 100 songs by Mario Lanza within that year, again, in my online things. And then it just seemed only right to and then I walked away from it. And then I was
Hmm.
like, you know what? I did all that work for it to just like sit on Facebook live. Like that just doesn't seem right. So I'm like, now I got to just finish the journey with Mario and do my album. I got so much shade from one very specific writer there who was like, when are you going to do something different? And I was like,
Oh,
different while singing the praises of the same five people doing the same Frank Sinatra rep over and over, which there's nothing wrong with Frank. Everyone loves
right,
Frank. He's cool. He's
right.
sexy. He's even, until his dying day, he was still had sex appeal and still could croon and all this stuff. But I'm like, how much more do I have to do to be like, who's doing Mario Lanza? Who's doing
Right,
Mario Lanza, right?
right.
So paying tribute is really hard because people expect a certain thing from you and then you get like pigeonholed. And so it's about finding your voice in Madeline. So how did you put your show together? Sorry for making that about me
No,
again. Quick,
that's all right. You're a
soprano,
tenor,
jump in.
right? You're a tenor. I'm pretty sure.
Don't jump in, soprano. How did you make this show about Madeline, all the wonderful things about Madeline, but also your voice?
See, I'm a soprano from Ohio, so I'm nice. I let you finish. But that's what she said. So when you do Madeline, I'm one of, I think, 4 performers who has done a full-on Madeline show since she passed in 1999, as far as I can tell. The first one was a full-on tribute by organized by the biographer, her official biographer, and I'm holding this up now for the people on the video, and you can put it in your show notes. It's called Madeline Kahn Being the Music, A Life by William V. Madison, who was a former editor at Opera News
Hmm.
and a wonderful performer and writer. And he interviewed pretty much everybody. She was an intensely private person, so this was tough work. But interviewed family, her husband, co-stars, lifelong friends, everybody. And this was my major source material. So I realized, with the help of my director, Faith Prince, who is well known as a Tony Award winner, fantastic performer, and then my co-writer, Rod Ferguson, who's also a Mac Award winner and a
Yeah.
fantastic performer and writer. And they really encouraged me to not make it a tribute show. And the first draft that I turned in with information about Madeline sounded like a term paper or a Wikipedia entry. They said, we have that. We really need to know what you think of her. And
Hmm.
over, what do you think of her? What do you think of her? And that's the beauty of having so many different Sinatra tribute shows too. It's what each individual artist thinks of that iconic artist, and you have to keep that in mind. So I call it KAHN Artist because I wanted to emphasize, yes, she truly was an artist, and she considered herself to be one. And I feel a little bit like a con for taking her on. She probably wouldn't like it. She was so private and didn't really let her true feelings show very much because she'd been hurt so much in her personal
Hmm.
and professional lives. But that's what also made her intensely interesting to me. All of that had happened to me too. I'd been vulnerable for people and had my heart broken. And I'd been frustrated in my career and had been pigeonholed and didn't know what to do next. And I'm so grateful that I got so many chances to try again and again and again. And so
Yeah.
did Madeline. And sometimes it worked out and sometimes she fell flat on her face, but she got up and she kept trying. That's the ultimate message of the show. So it's a tribute show, but not only to Kahn's artistry, but just to how she lived her short life, her too
Yeah.
short life. And that's why we still talk about her 25 years, 26 years after she died, because she really was, she fought so hard for everything. And
Yeah.
she's a reminder that we don't have unlimited time to do things. So do it now, celebrate it now, share it now.
Ah, that's absolutely beautiful, and I'm glad that you're bringing it back, and you're sharing it with more audiences, with newer audiences. What is that? What was the reason you decided? Because it debuted in 23,
22, actually,
22.
in Rhode Island. Yeah. So the first idea was with Faith. We worked on it from January of 22 until about July. I had a performing slot here in Rhode Island, so I decided this would be the thing that I did. And I had no idea what I was doing. So thank goodness I had a wonderful director and co-writer to guide me, and a wonderful musical director in Jim Rice. I also had some work done by Bobby Pico, music arranger based in Florida. So the four of us put this together, and we did it, all the rehearsals online. Everything happened online. And then I got up in front of a crowd and I performed it.
Mm.
Now I look back, I think, how did I do that? But it was thrilling. It was so thrilling to bring her story and my story together. And we matched up so well in so many ways. So every time there was a Madeline story, then I entered in. Then when I entered in, then I brought back how the same thing happened to Madeline. And when we got done and I got off stage, people would say, I didn't know that much about her. I knew nothing about you. And now I feel like I know both of you very well.
Yeah.
And I think that's the litmus test when you're doing a kind of a tribute show. We want to know about the person you love, but we really want to know about you. And that is the thing I work on when I'm working with other clients in cabaret, or if I see other cabaret shows. I'm looking to know more about that person on stage, not the famous person, the
Exactly, because
person who
like you
has
said,
that
we have
love.
Wikipedia already. We can
Yep.
we know what we know. I think the other thrilling thing about doing a tribute show beyond, sharing who they are, sharing their impact and why you're standing on the stage speaking to them. One of my favorite things was then people telling me what they loved about the artist and saying, "Oh, when you that song I remember on my grandma's record player, and I can smell her sauce in the kitchen. I can." So it's so heartwarming when and people share. Madeline was everywhere. She did movies, she did TV, she was on Sesame Street. Like
Yes.
she was part of so many people's lives. Like that, she raised a generation. She even her last show Cosby, I loved her on that, and that I think that was the last thing she did before she passed.
It was, and Bill Cosby said wonderful things about her after she died. She was undergoing chemotherapy for ovarian cancer while she was doing Cosby. It came out of nowhere, and she was, I think, 56, 55 when she was
Yeah.
diagnosed. And she had to take time off sometimes during the filming season to go have treatment, and then she'd come back with a wig. And then the last time that she left, and she was hoping that she would be coming back, Bill Cosby took a key and he locked her dressing room, and he gave her the key and said, "You get to open it when you come back."
Mm.
She never came back. That's what's really sad. But that showed, how much he wanted her to come back and how much we all did. And yes, I've had members of her family come up and talk to me after seeing the show. Sometimes I knew they were coming. Sometimes I didn't know they were coming. I'm glad I didn't know
Yeah.
until later. And then one night in New York, her husband came, and that just about did me in. To talk to him. I had seen him on being interviewed about her on a Lifetime intimate portrait a few years after Madeline had died, and he seemed so young and had
Yeah.
been, decades. And here was this older gentleman standing before me, but I recognized his eyes, his smile, and his new wife, the person he had married, was there as well. And I was so touched that she came and that he came, and he said some really nice things. Bill Madison, who wrote the book, also came to see the show, and I'm so grateful that he did. I wanted to do right by her, and I'm sure you felt that way about Mario.
Yeah.
That you want to honor them and how much they meant to you, and you want to show everybody else this is why this person still means so much, not just to me but to the world.
Exactly. Exactly. I that's sorry, that just really touched me. Just hearing all those interactions with her family and how because they know how much they love her, and I'm sure it is healing for them and magical to experience someone who outside of the family, to experience her impact and what she means to others and how her memory is being kept alive. So it's a real gift I know you gave that family, and I'm glad you're doing this show. So tell us about the date. Actually, before we get to that, you
Mhm.
gave me an interesting tidbit that
Yes,
Madeline is one of us.
she
She
is.
she was slinging hash and singing arias. Can you share that little anecdote?
She was. She worked as a waitress in college in between semesters at Hofstra University. She majored in speech language pathology, but she did theater and music on the side, then became a full performing major. But the theater department and the music department would fight over her. Nobody quite knew what she was going to do because she was so good at both, but she couldn't decide. She shouldn't have had to, right? That's the message.
Yeah.
But in the summer, she would work in summer stock, and she worked as a singing waitress in a Bavarian restaurant. So, and there's pictures of her in the Lifetime intimate portrait that she would sing arias wearing a little dirndl. And all of this presages Blazing Saddles, right? All of it does. And during summer stock, one of the piano players wrote a song for her that sounds like Kurt Weill. It's called Das Chicago Song. There is a strange foreign city, 6,000 miles from Berlin, near to the mountains where the Mississippi flows, a magic town where the drugstores never close. And Das Chicago Song, right? So it's supposed to sound like Kurt Weill, but Madeline got to premiere it. She sang it off and on her entire career. She did it on The Tonight Show. So she was working towards a cabaret, but she sang it as a singing waitress. So I have to think that she had some of the same lessons we did, which is, you entertain no matter what. You're nice to the customers, as nice as you can be, and it's about them, not you.
Exactly. It's always an opportunity to perform, and I was a singing waiter as well, and it's just it hits really close to home because it's like, this is exactly what I'm doing it for. Like, this is my why. This is why I'm putting up with these tough shifts. Funny enough, you talked about the theater and the music department fighting over her. I had a similar experience in college too, where the theater and the music were fighting over me, but it was the opposite. It was like, no, you take, no, you take.
I wish they fought over me. They were just like, get your paper and get out. But
they were like, you should be doing opera. And then I'd go to the music department, like, you're musical theater. And it was just like that 4 years back and forth.
Yeah. One of my jury sheets has said, you have a musical theater sound to your voice sometimes. I should have taken that and run straight to the musical theater department, but I didn't.
One of my professors, my musical theater professor, she failed one of her recitals because she was like, I don't want to do. There was no musical theater degree back then, so she did classical music, and she did a Gershwin recital, and she failed because she did it like musical theater, and she didn't do it soprano enough for them. So she had to redo her entire thing, like, just so disingenuous from who she was as an artist. Like, I'm just so glad we're out of that. that world
we're getting there.
and doing what we're doing now. Yeah.
There's still some. Go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. Please finish your thought.
Well, yeah, you're right. And there's still a lot of that, unfortunately, in, the music education world, between classical and musical theater, but it is beginning to break down. And the faster it goes away, the happier we're all going to be.
Exactly. And doing exactly what you're doing and showing people that you can have your cake and eat it too is wonderful, because it's going to save years of imposter syndrome, of maybe hanging up the towel, of whatever it is, and just be like, you can do whatever. If you can sing Deflated Mouse, and then you can go belt defying gravity, do it. Like, do everything that you need to do, because Professor Husty, what's he going to do? What's Professor Husty going to do to me? I've been out of college for 20 years now. Like, there's nothing he can do to me anymore. Which, shout out, I actually ran into somebody who went to UC Irvine recently at an audition. She went a few years before me, and I was like, did you have Professor Husty? And we just had like this little love bond, this shady old man in the music department who was shady but hilarious. But I want to talk, before I let you go, I want to give you the chance to give those dates to people, where they can find you and follow you, how they can get tickets. San Francisco, please show some love. We have a lot of faithful listeners in San Francisco who have been showing up to my friends' shows just because of this. So I hope, Maddie, are you listening? You're going to want to go see this one. All right. And also, I don't know if you know this, but the drinks at Martuni's are ridiculous. Like, you get they are so underpriced. Like, I don't want to let them know, like, they're so underpriced and ginormous. Like, the martinis are like 10-ounce martinis, and they're like $13.
Well, my show is at 7, so at about 8:10, I'm going to have one. That'll be great. And they have piano bar there. So I'm actually going to be there a couple days beforehand to do some rehearsing and PR. And I hope that I get to go play piano bar at Martuni's before I go and do my show.
You're going to love it. You're going to love them. And Nikki's the one to talk to. She's going to be working your room, I'm sure. And she always, without fail, when she knows my last song, she knows my last note, and she just walks right up to the piano and hands me my martini. So just get.
My drink is a spicy Virgin Paloma, which was also my high school nickname. Either that or a Singapore Sling, because if you're gonna go, you gotta go.
You gotta go.
Right. You got to go. And so Singapore Sling, I know bartenders that makes work for you. I know you see me coming and you laugh, but I do love it. It tastes like, what I think pine salt tastes like. And that's why I love it so much. And I can have it once a decade.
There
But
we
I'll
go.
tell you what, if there's a listener who listens on Tough Shift, if you come up and see my show at Martuni's on Saturday, September 27th at 7 p.m., you can drink a Singapore Sling with me and watch me do this, and you get a second show. Okay, you get a second show.
I I absolutely love it. And where can they get tickets, or is it just at the door?
It's actually they're on Eventbrite. But you can go through my website edencasteel.com. All the links are there for every show I do. Dueling pianos, open mics, single pianos. I play all over. Puerto Vallarta. This is my first time in San Francisco. I hope to be in Palm Springs in a year. I also play Boston, New York, Provincetown, and Rhode Island when they have it. So I'm everywhere you want to be. I'm like a Visa card that sings.
There we go. Now, before I let you go, I think we've sold the show. We've made a great case for why people should see this. I like to turn the tables, as we know, as performers, as having worked in hospitality, bad reviews gain traction. They get a lot more attention than good reviews or any good news,
Oh,
if at all. And so that's why when I have a good experience, when I see a show, when I'm at a restaurant and I have a great time, when I have a coworker who has made my job and my life easier, I go to the management. I go to who needs to hear it, and I share the good news because that doesn't get there as often as it should. So, with that in mind, who is someone in your life in many of the areas you've experienced that has made a tough shift? Hospitality, on stage, backstage, piano bar has made a tough shift easier for you that you just want to give a quick shout out today.
pretty much the entire wait staff at Don't Tell Mama in New York.
Mm, I fucking love Randy.
Yes,
Oh, I
Randy.
love Randy.
Um, let's see, was it? I have to say her name right. It's not Heather. Hannah. Hannah is how I pronounce her. Hannah. And they worked the room when I was performing on the small brick room to 3 people. And then I also see them when I play in the front room at Don't Tell Mama for a piano bar. So I do that. I haven't done KAHN Artist there for a while. I've done KAHN Artist, I think, 28 or 29 times over the past few years. I'll keep doing it as
Wow.
long as I can sing the notes. But in the meantime, I go to New York and I play the piano bar. So I see those servers and I see the same people. And I love saying hi to Randy and Hannah and the Kelly and everybody who is over there because they don't only sing, they don't only serve, but they sing sometimes. And they have to manage so many egos, of performers and also like people off the street. And they do it at such a high level. It's really wonderful to watch. So sometimes I'm playing music for them as much as I am for, the patrons who are ordering.
100%. And the magical thing about like why I love Randy so much is, our community is not the easiest community to deal with. Everybody is doing a cabaret show in their seat while they're waiting for the show that they're at. And she has to put up, it's like it's always, I see her, I always give her, she knows my order. I over tip her because I know that people are not going to be taking care of her like they should, but it's always their first day on earth. It's always like they've never been to Don't Tell Mama. They don't know about the 2 drinks. They don't know, like, you have to give the 2 drinks ahead of time because Randy can't be making it through the room to take your order while you're singing a high C. It's
I
just
don't know how
it's
she does it.
they have to, she does it and she has to be invisible and she gets it. So like she manages these people so well, and she's a bit like a stove to where she doesn't put the kid gloves on to people. She will be very direct, and some people find that off-putting. I find it like a warm hug. I feel taken care of. I'm like, whoa, you're intense. I can trust you. So
I did a
there you
Christmas gig there. I'm sorry, I'm going to say one more thing
yeah.
about her. I did a Christmas gig where I needed to have a gag with a drink, right? And so I thought, I decided on this gag like maybe 2 minutes before I went on stage, where I was going to be playing piano and drinking at the same time. So I needed a long straw, a glass, and I needed something that was opaque so it would show up and it would look like I was taking it down when I was sucking it in, right? So poor Randy was working the room, and without asking, I went behind the bar and I poured myself a tall glass of orange juice and I stuck, straws in it and everything and carried it on stage. I could see her looking at it like, I didn't make that. And she just didn't say a word. Like, okay, it's just the performer doing their thing. The joke killed. I'm so
Yeah.
glad. But she allows people to be who they are, and I so appreciate about that. About anybody in serving, you meet people where they are, and you help make them better. That's what you do.
Amen. Amen. So there you have it. To Randy and the entire staff, the entire team and family at Don't Tell Mama. Clearly, the world needs more people like you. Thank you for everything that you do to make our tough shifts easier. And this has been another episode of Tough Shift. And just remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life. Take care. Tough Shift was created and hosted by Sean Patrick Murtagh. It was recorded on Riverside and distributed with Buzzsprout. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and maybe a comment or two. And remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life.